this woman calls me up, and this is many years ago when I still had my design studio, and she is on the phone with me. She says, yes, hi, my name's, let's say, Mary, and I saw you on television, and I wanted to come, and I'm having such a hard time getting dressed. And I said, well, why is that? She says, well, kind of, because I'm really heavy. I weigh about 180 pounds, between 180 and 200. I fluctuate. And I said, well, how tall is she? She was 4'11". Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And I hear this voice, and I envision this body, and then I go, okay, well, you know, come down. So she was in San Francisco. She comes down to LA, and she walks into my studio, and I see the whole picture. And the whole picture was that she had an hourglass body, and she had this very delicate, tiny little voice, like that. Not low, but very tiny, like angelic. Then she had the angelic matching skin, alabaster, where you when you close your eyes, you see the veins everywhere. Where she would stand in the sunlight, and you could look through her nostrils. They were so delicate. Then she had this beautiful hair, like spun gold. It was really thin and delicate and curly. And then I looked at her hands, and her hands were like the hand of a 12-year-old little girl. And her feet were like the feet of a child. And then she had this massive body. But she had a small waist, you know? And she has this big bust, so she couldn't, it wasn't like she could wear anything. She's like, every time I come to put on clothes, the size fits me, but it doesn't look right. And then I said to her, could you please walk? She walks in my studio, she walks up and down, and it was, I swear to God, it was as if somebody had put this woman on a pair of wheels. She was like gliding. You can't even do it. She was like somebody had just pushed her on a cloud. And I was mesmerized by watching her because it was so different, you know, this visual, physical mass of body, and the lightness of her voice, and the lightness of her gait, and the lightness of her eyes, and everything, and her hair. I'm like, how am I going to bridge that? And that is what you are up against, all of us are up against, is how do you bridge all the components? You know, how do you make it look like this or like this so that it comes together on you and it comes together in your wardrobe? And so I said, okay, she has volume, so I need to repeat the volume. And then she has lightness, and I have to repeat the lightness. So I gave her a lot of chiffon, a lot of yardage with gored skirts, and made the yardage that is evidently light, I turned it into lots of yardage. So lots of this. 5 times the amount of this in skirts and blouses that were gathered in certain places so that there would be some volume and it would have some lightness. And we built her a whole new wardrobe. She was so happy, and for the first time she said, I show up for the first time in my life. My husband is so successful and I've always stayed in the background. A year later she called me that she lost about 80 pounds. She was so happy. She was like, nobody's ever seen me. I've always wanted to hide. So, that's the story you should remember.